The rain was relentless, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Alaric, a 43-year-old architect in Seattle, had always prided myself on my ability to design structures that stood the test of time. Little did I know, the foundation of my own life was about to crumble. It had started subtly, almost imperceptibly. My wife, Bronte, a vibrant and successful lawyer, had begun working later hours. Initially, I attributed it to a demanding case she was handling. But the late nights turned into missed dinners, and the warm, loving woman I had known for 15 years seemed distant, almost detached. Our conversations dwindled to perfunctory exchanges about schedules and logistics. The spark that had once ignited our relationship had faded to embers. I tried to rekindle it, suggesting weekend getaways, romantic dinners, anything to bridge the growing chasm between us. But my efforts were met with polite excuses and a weary smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. One evening, Bronte claimed she had a mandatory conference in Portland. I offered to drive her, but she insisted on going alone, citing the need to prepare and decompress on the journey. Something felt off, a nagging unease that I couldn't shake. I tried to dismiss it as paranoia, the product of too many late nights and too much coffee. But the feeling persisted, a persistent hum beneath the surface of my consciousness. The following day, I found myself with an unexpected free afternoon. A project had been postponed, and I decided to surprise Bronte at her office. I knew she had been stressed lately, and I thought a simple gesture of support might lift her spirits. I picked up her favorite pastries from a local bakery and drove downtown, a sense of anticipation building with each passing mile. When I arrived at her office building, the receptionist informed me that Bronte was not in. "She's at a conference in Portland," I explained, a flicker of confusion crossing my face. The receptionist hesitated, then said, "I believe Ms. Bronte took a few days of personal leave. She mentioned needing a break." A cold dread washed over me. Personal leave. Why hadn't she told me? Why the elaborate charade about a conference? My mind raced, conjuring 1,000 different scenarios, each more unsettling than the last. I thanked the receptionist and left, the pastries suddenly heavy in my hands. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the verge of uncovering something terrible. Driven by a desperate need for answers, I decided to check our bank statements online. Bronte and I had always been transparent about our finances, sharing a joint account for household expenses and savings. What I found sent a shockwave through my entire being. There were several unfamiliar transactions: charges at a luxury hotel in Carmel by the Sea, a string of expensive restaurants, and a jewelry store known for its extravagant pieces. The dates coincided perfectly with Bronte's conference in Portland, Carmel by the Sea. It was a place we had always dreamed of visiting together, a romantic coastal town known for its breathtaking scenery and intimate atmosphere. The thought of Bronte there with someone else twisted in my gut like a knife. I felt a surge of anger, betrayal, and a profound sense of loss. The woman I had loved, the woman I had built my life with, had shattered my trust in the most devastating way imaginable. I spent the next few hours in a daze, replaying the past few months in my mind, searching for clues I had missed, signs I had ignored. The late nights, the missed dinners, the detached demeanor, it all made sense now. I had been so blind, so trusting, so utterly oblivious to the betrayal unfolding right under my nose. That evening Bronte returned home, her face flushed, her eyes bright. "How was the conference?" I asked, my voice betraying none of the turmoil raging within me. "It was productive," she replied, avoiding my gaze. "A lot of late nights and intense discussions. I couldn't bear to play the charade any longer." "Bronte," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "I know about Carmel by the Sea." Her eyes widened and the color drained from her face. What are you talking about?" she stammered. "Hotel, the restaurants, the jewelry store," I said, my voice rising with each word. "I saw the bank statements. Don't insult my intelligence by denying it." She remained silent for a moment, her eyes darting around the room, searching for an escape. Then she sighed, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "Okay, fine," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's true." Confession hit me like a physical blow. I staggered backward, reeling from the impact. "Who is he?" I managed to ask, my voice choked with emotion. "His name is Cassian," she said. He's a colleague at work, Cassian. I knew the name. He was a young, ambitious associate at her firm known for his charm and charisma. I had met him a few times at office parties, and I had always felt a subtle undercurrent of tension between him and Bronte. I had dismissed it as my own insecurities, but now it all clicked into place. How long has this been going on? Asked, my voice barely audible. A few months, she admitted, her eyes filled with tears. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far. You didn't mean for it to go this far, I repeated, my voice laced with sarcasm. You spent a romantic weekend with him in Carmel by the sea, racking up thousands of dollars on our credit card, and you didn't mean for it to go this far. She began to cry, her body shaking with sobs. I'm so sorry, Alaric, she said, her voice muffled by her hands. I never wanted to hurt you. I still love you. Love me? I scoffed. If you loved me, you wouldn't have betrayed me like this. You wouldn't have lied to me, deceived me, and humiliated me. I turned away from her, unable to bear the sight of her tears. I want you to leave, I said, my voice cold and emotionless. Get out of my house. Alaric, please, she begged, don't do this. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. There's nothing to work through, I said, my voice firm. You broke my trust, Bronte, and that's something I can never forgive. It's over, she pleaded and cried, begging me to reconsider, promising to end the affair and dedicate herself to our marriage. But her words were hollow, empty promises that held no weight. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I had lost the woman I loved, and the pain was unbearable. That night I slept on the couch, unable to bear the thought of sharing a bed with her. The next morning I packed her belongings and left them on the porch. When she came downstairs, I handed her a divorce petition. I've already spoken to a lawyer, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I want this over as quickly as possible. She stared at the petition, her eyes filled with disbelief. You're really doing this? She asked, her voice trembling. I am, I said, my voice firm. I deserve better than this, Bronte, and so do you. Maybe someday you'll understand that. She left without a word, her head bowed, her shoulders slumped. As I watched her drive away, a wave of grief washed over me. I had lost my wife, my best friend, my partner in life. The future I had envisioned, the dreams we had shared, had vanished in a puff of smoke. I was alone, adrift in a sea of uncertainty and pain. The divorce was swift and relatively painless. Bronte didn't contest it, and I received a fair settlement. But no amount of money could compensate for the emotional damage she had inflicted. I spent the next few months in a state of numbness, going through the motions of life without feeling anything. I threw myself into my work, designing buildings that were strong and resilient, hoping to find some solace in their permanence. One evening, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received an unexpected visitor. It was Cassian, Bronte's former lover. Looked disheveled and nervous, his eyes darting around the room as if he expected someone to jump out and attack him. Do you want? I asked, my voice cold and hostile. I need to talk to you, he said, his voice barely a whisper. It's about Bronte. I hesitated for a moment, then reluctantly invited him inside. He sat down on the edge of the couch, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. I know what I did was wrong, he said, his voice filled with remorse. I never meant to hurt you, Alaric. I was selfish and foolish, and I made a terrible mistake. I remained silent, my eyes fixed on him, waiting for him to continue. After the divorce, Bronte and we tried to make it work, he said, his voice faltering. But it was a disaster. She was constantly jealous and insecure, accusing me of cheating on her. She became controlling and manipulative, demanding all my time and attention. It was suffocating. He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. I tried to break up with her, but she wouldn't let me go. She threatened to ruin my career, to tell my wife about the affair, to do anything to keep me with her. I was trapped. So what are you telling me? I asked, my voice laced with skepticism. That you're a victim too? No, he said, shaking his head. I'm not asking for sympathy. I just want you to know the truth. Bronte is not the innocent victim she portrays herself to be. She's a master manipulator, and she'll do anything to get what she wants. He then revealed a shocking detail about Bronte's past, a secret she had kept hidden from everyone, including me. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she had engaged in an affair. Years ago, she had cheated on her previous husband with a close friend, leaving him devastated and heartbroken. She had a pattern of seeking validation and excitement outside of her relationships, a deep-seated insecurity that drove her to betray those closest to her. I was stunned by the revelation. I had always believed that Bronte was a good person, albeit flawed, but to learn that she was a repeat offender, a serial cheater who had caused so much pain and suffering, was almost too much to bear. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice filled with disbelief. "What do you hope to gain? I just want you to know the truth," he said, his eyes filled with sincerity. "You deserve to know the kind of person she really is, and I hope that someday you can find it in your heart to forgive me for my part in all of this." He stood up and walked towards the door, pausing for a moment before turning back to me. "Be careful, Alaric," he said, his voice filled with warning. "Bronte is not someone you want to cross." After he left, I sat in silence for a long time, trying to process everything he had told me. The revelation about Bronte's past cast a new light on our entire relationship. I had been so blinded by love and trust that I had failed to see the red flags, the subtle signs of her infidelity. I had been a fool, a naive and trusting husband who had been easily manipulated and deceived. The next morning, I received a phone call from Bronte. Her voice was frantic and desperate. "Alaric, I need your help," she said, her voice trembling with fear. "Cassian, he's threatening to expose me. He's telling everyone about the affair, about my past. He's trying to ruin my life." I hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to believe her, but I couldn't ignore the genuine fear in her voice. "What do you want me to do?" I asked, my voice guarded. "I need you to talk to him," she said, her voice pleading. "Convince him to stop. Tell him that you forgive him, that you don't want any trouble." "Please, Alaric, you're the only one who can help me." I knew it was a trap. Bronte was trying to manipulate me, to use me to clean up her mess, but a part of me still felt a flicker of sympathy for her. I couldn't bear to see her life fall apart, even after everything she had done to me. "Okay," I said, my voice resigned. "I'll talk to him, but I'm not making any promises." I arranged to meet Cassian at a local coffee shop. When he arrived, he looked even more disheveled than before, his eyes bloodshot and his hands shaking. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice hostile. "Bronte asked me to talk to you," I said, my voice calm. "She's worried about what you're going to do." "She should be," he said, his voice filled with anger. "She ruined my life, Alaric. She manipulated me, used me, and then discarded me like a piece of trash. I'm not going to let her get away with it." "I understand that you're angry," I said, "but exposing her isn't going to solve anything. It's just going to create more pain and suffering for everyone involved." "She deserves to suffer," he said, his voice unwavering. "She deserves to feel the same pain that she inflicted on me." "I know that's what you believe," I said, "but revenge isn't the answer. It's a destructive force that will only consume you in the end." I paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. "I know it's hard to believe, Cassian, but I forgive you. I forgive you for sleeping with my wife, for betraying my trust, for causing me so much pain. I don't want to hold on to that anger and resentment any longer. It's not worth it." He stared at me in disbelief, his eyes filled with confusion. "How can you forgive me?" he asked, his voice barely audible. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." "Maybe not," I said, "but I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for myself. I need to let go of the past and move on with my life. And I can't do that if I'm holding on to anger and resentment." He remained silent for a moment, his eyes searching mine. Then he sighed, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "Okay," he said, his voice resigned. "I won't expose her. I'll leave her alone." "Thank you," I said, my voice filled with relief. "I appreciate that." We sat in silence for a few more minutes, then he stood up and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I returned home, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't felt in months. I had finally let go of the anger and resentment that had been consuming me. I had forgiven Bronte and Cassian, not for their sake, but for my own. I was free to move on with my life, to build a new future, to find happiness again. It wasn't easy. The scars of betrayal remained, a constant reminder of the pain I had endured. But with time, the pain began to fade, replaced by a sense of resilience and strength. I learned to trust again, to love again, to open my heart to new possibilities. Years later, I met a wonderful woman named Esme. She was kind, compassionate, and trustworthy, everything that Bronte had not been. We fell in love and we built a life together, filled with laughter, joy, and unwavering support. I finally found the happiness I had been searching for, the love I had thought I had lost forever. Bronte's betrayal had been a devastating blow, a painful chapter in my life. But it had also been a catalyst for growth and transformation. I had emerged from the ashes of heartbreak stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. I had learned that forgiveness is not about condoning the actions of others, but about freeing yourself from the shackles of anger and resentment. And I had discovered that even in the darkest of times, hope can still bloom, and love can still find a way. I am writing this not for sympathy, but as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Betrayal cuts deep, but it does not have to define you. Choose forgiveness, choose healing, and choose to build a future filled with genuine love and unwavering trust. Remember, the structures we build within ourselves are the ones that truly stand the test of time.